The history of the WCW Championship from 1991 to 2001. Ric Flair is the first recognized WCW champion, but is stripped after leaving for the WWF. Lex Luger wins a makeshift title to a chorus of "We Want Flair" chants. Sting beats Luger to win his second world title, then loses it to his fierce rival Vader. Ron Simmons makes history on August 2nd, 1992. Vader wins it back from Simmons, then trades it back and forth with Sting on a European tour. First in London, then again 6 days later in Dublin. With his career on the line, Ric Flair beats Vader to win the title at Starrcade. The title's held up after a double pin, then Flair wins it back against Ricky Steamboat. Hulk Hogan wins the WCW title in his first match there. The Giant wins the title in his first match ever with help from the Yeti, but the belt is held up. Randy Savage wins his first WCW title at World War III. The Nature Boy regains the belt with help from the Horsemen. Macho Man wins the belt back weeks later on Nitro, then loses it back to Flair in a steel cage. The Giant beats Flair for the belt, but then Hollywood Hogan and the NWO begin their hostile takeover. Luger beats Hogan in one of the best Nitro moments ever, then Hogan immediately wins it back. Sting is the savior of WCW and beats Hogan at Starrcade, only for the belt to be held up because of how the match ended. But it's okay because Sting wins it back, hooray! Randy Savage injures his knee when he regains the world title, so he loses it to Hollywood one night later. Goldberg! Kevin Nash ends the streak thanks to Scott Hall's cattle prod. 4 words, finger poke of doom. Flair wins the title in the first blood match despite actually bleeding first. The People's Champ DDP wins his first world title. Sting beats Page for it on Nitro, but DDP wins it back the very same night. Big Sexy regains the gold after some very screwy booking. Savage wins the title, but we never learn who drove the white Hummer, then he loses it to Hogan one night later. Sting's failed run as a bad guy got its start at Fall Brawl 99. The title was stripped and held up in a tournament to be won by Bret the Hitman Hart. Bret's run as a wrestler comes to an end as he tries to work through a concussion. He vacates and regains it in a single night, then drops the title for good in January. Chris Benoit's wins a long time coming, then he jumps to the Federation one night later. Sid Vicious finally claims the gold, but is stripped for pinning the wrong Harris brother. Commissioner Nash gives himself the title, then loses it to Sid that same night. Booking sure is fun, kids. Reboot time! The next 2 months are a blur as the title changes hands on a near weekly basis, from Jeff Jarrett to Diamond Dallas Page, and yes to David Arquette. It happened, okay? Moving on. Back to Jeff Jarrett, then Ric Flair wins it in his street clothes before Vince Russo strips him of the title. Jeff Jarrett wins it back in a match with Kevin Nash, only for Big Sexy to get it back mere days later, before he just up and hands it to Ric Flair. Then Jarrett beats him for it at the end of the night. Did everybody get all that? Vince Russo shoots on Hulk Hogan and Booker T earns his place at the top. Tony Schiavone described this win on air as the worst thing to ever happen to the title. Booker T regains it in a caged heat match. Vince Russo books himself to be world champion before vacating the belt one final time. Booker T finds his third world title in a box. Scott Steiner goes on a tear in his one and only world title reign before losing it back to Booker on the final Nitro. Kurt Angle is the first WWF star to win the belt, but Booker T takes it back less than a week later. The Rock returns from Hollywood and claims his golden prize, then trades the title back and forth with Chris Jericho for months, until the WCW Championship's legacy finally reaches the end with the Undisputed Championship held by none other than Chris Jericho. Thanks for watching, everyone. Modeled and rendered by Cub Studio, voiced by Brian Zane from Wrestling With Regret, audio by Morgan Samuel. What other championships do you want to see here? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.